In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your alternator in your Kia Soul. It's located on the engine under the hood. All right, we're going to disconnect our negative battery terminal. Use a 10mm socket. Make sure you put your terminal off to the side, not touching any metal. I'm going to take off this cover. Really just is held down by some rubber grommets. Take that off, get it out of your way. Disconnect your connectors off your alternator. So you're going to push down on this top part and then pull. You might need a small screwdriver. I'm going to use a trim tool and take this off the alternator. The harness clip. I'm going to set that off to the side. Next, we're going to disconnect our wire from the alternator. I'm going to open up this cap. All right, we're going to use a 12mm socket, and we're going to unscrew our nut here to disconnect the wire. Now you can take that wire off. It's a good time to take a peek at the wire, see if it's corroded, like ours is. And we'll clean that up before we reconnect it to the new alternator. All right, so next we're going to loosen our tensioner so we can get our belt off. Use a 12mm socket for the tensioner. You're going to move it to the left. We're going to loosen this up, this bolt in the front here. Use a 12mm socket. You're going to use a 14mm socket. Once you loosen this bolt, you should start to see your alternator fall a little bit. And if not, you're going to use a pry bar to get it to fall. Do not take the bolt all the way out. Just loosen it. I'm going to get my pry bar. See if there's any give. There isn't, so we have to loosen it some more. Alright, so now you can slip your belt off. I'm just going to leave mine there. If you feel like you need to replace your serpentine belt, this might be a good time. Ours is actually fine. So now, as you can see, it moves. All right, next we're going to take out this bolt completely. And we're going to take out the top bolt. At this point, you want to kind of grab a hold of the alternator. Pull out that bolt. You might have to pry it out. Now you can pull out your alternator. Take off your nut on your alternator before putting it in. And now we're going to slide our alternator down. What you're going to do is pick up your alternator feed the bolt through. All right, once you have that bolt started, it helps to wiggle the alternator as you're trying to get the bolt in, because sometimes it just makes it easier. All right, you're gonna wanna tighten this up a little bit, just a little bit, not all the way. You want to still be able to move the alternator somewhat, but you don't want the alternator falling out of place. That's probably good. Now we can pick up the alternator like this so that we can line up our bolt with our adjuster. So you're going to want to line up this hole of the alternator with this. So this bolt that goes through, you're going to want to line it up. I'm going to make sure I find my bolt. I'm going to line it up in there. Lower it down. Pick up my alternator. All right, we're going to use a 12mm socket, and we're going to snug up this tensioner a little bit. Don't go all the way. Just enough to suck in the square nut inside the bracket. Once you do that, you're going to slip your belt on. Make sure that this bolt head is flush with this bracket before you try to slip your belt on. If it's not and you've got it started, just push down the head of the bolt with like a pry bar or a little hammer. You can tap it down. It should just go right down. Then you can put your belt on. There. All right, so now we're going to adjust the belt by turning it clockwise. Periodically checking, make sure it's not too tight or too loose. You should be able to twist the belt halfway. If you can't, then it's too tight. And if you can twist it more than half, it's too loose. Twist it, that seems good. Now we're going to tighten up this bolt and our adjuster going into the alternator. And then we'll be torquing it to 30 foot-pounds. This bolt here is torqued to 23 foot-pounds. Now we can put our wire on. I did clean up our terminal. You should too if you saw any corrosion. Using a 13mm for the new nut. You'll be torquing it to 11 foot-pounds. I'm going to put my little cap back on, reconnect our connector. When you hear the click, you know you're in, and then put your harness back in the holder. So now we can put this back on before we lift the car again. All right, I'm going to connect our negative battery terminal, push it down all the way, get a 10mm socket. and tighten it down. Just make sure you check your terminal, make sure it doesn't move once you have it on your battery.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.